I just want to like preface, like, it's not something women are taking lightly, like, we're just not gonna have kids. Like, it's not this cool thing. And maybe some people think it's cool to say they don't want to have kids, and maybe it is cool, like, whatever, but it's not that unique. There's so many women that don't want to have kids. I think the stats now is like, if you ask young people, I think I heard somewhere like about 50% of them, don't know if this is in America or whatever, like about 50% of young women don't want to have kids. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. So I'm gonna start by saying, like, personally, I've never had a strong desire for motherhood. Like, I've never had a strong desire to be a mom. And I start by saying this because I've heard a lot of people say the statement, I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always known I wanted to be a mom. And I just never felt that strong desire to be a mother. And I know it's partly because of my upbringing, which we're not going to get into, but also just who I am as a person. I'm a free, just, you know, free-going kind of person. I value my freedom the most. And so I think because of my personality, subconsciously somewhere, my brain just knew that this thing called motherhood would, you know, impact on my freedom. Even before I like deeply thought about the idea of children at all, before I even knew it was an option not to have children, because I grew up in Nigeria, which is a very patriarchal society where, obviously, as you can imagine, men are like in positions of power, men have the power, men are the head of the household, whatever that means. And so I grew up in that kind of society where it's just like women will be mothers, women will be mothers, and it was just a given. And I never questioned it. Ever since I was younger, it was always, when you get to your husband's house, you need to be able to cook. Because when you get to your husband's house, you need to clean the house, because when you get to your husband's house. And I was just like, who's this husband? Like, who's this husband? Like, at that point, I found it annoying. I didn't even think of the idea of what if I don't want to get married or anything like that. I just felt like it was so annoying that my brother could just like chill and not do anything on Saturdays, and my sister and I were burdened with the responsibility of waking up early to clean the house and stuff like that. And it was just a thing where you're expected to like just get married, have kids, and I never questioned it because I was young. And even now, I'm sure people are going to be thinking like, you're 27, you're still a child, you know, like you don't know what you want yet, whatever. And I think to some extent I do know what I want. I think because I'm at the age now where people my age are like getting married, getting engaged, having children, and I know that I have the desire to get married. But even with my peers, like with my mates having children, I know a few people around me who have had children, and you know, I can like acknowledge that the baby's cute or whatever, but it still doesn't give me the strong desire to be a mom. And I would also say, I haven't spent enough time with kids to also like feel that connection. Like, I haven't spent enough time with like other people's children to feel like, oh, I desire this. And I did spend some time with a friend's son, and I remember it was just such a like family type day. And I remember at the end of that feeling like, like he gave me a big hug, and I did feel like, oh, this is so sweet. Like, I had like that feeling of love for the child. Because he ought to be, and it was just such a cute moment, and I was like, oh, this is like a nice feeling. But it only lasted for like a couple of hours, and like, you know, moved on from it. And so that's how I know that the door isn't completely closed yet. Like, I may still like desire children, especially like my own, and especially with someone that I like deeply love. Like, I think for me that is like the sweetness and the joy of it. Like, that is the number one thing that I think would persuade me into having children, is just like with someone that I'm like obsessed with, and I'm looking at this guy, I'm like, I love you so much. Imagine having a little you, like, you know, or imagine having like a combination of you and I just like running around the house. Like, how beautiful would that be? And I think that would be, I just know that that would be the the persuasion, that would be the thing that would trick me to it. Is like being in that point in my life where I'm so in love with this person, I have like my finances set, I'm like in my dream home, or like I'm planning that, like everything's sweet, everything's good, and I'm like, I love this person and I think I have the space for another in my life, and I think I have the space to be less selfish in my life. And so like saying that people just say like women don't want to have kids anymore, you know, women are becoming selfish, which rightfully so, we should be selfish because we've self-sacrificed for so long with very little acknowledgement, recognition, very little thought. Like no one thought twice about women self-sacrificing, women holding it down. No one gave us like our accolades because it was just expected. So rightfully so, now that we have the option, we're like, wait a damn minute. We're not just gonna do this because everyone's doing it, because you people are saying we should do it. Like, let's rethink this. Like, is this what we actually want? And so yeah, I'm very grateful that I was born in a time and I'm now in an environment where I can make like the decision for myself. Like, it's one of the best things about, you know, living in like a postmodern society is like we have that option now. I'm really glad we have the option, but it's not something that women are I just want to like preface, like it's not something women are taking lightly. Like, we're just not gonna have kids. Like, it's not this cool thing, and maybe some people think it's cool to say they don't want to have kids, and maybe it is cool, like whatever makes you like feel unique or whatever, but it's not that unique. There's so many women that don't want to have kids. I think the stats now is like, if you ask young people, I think I heard somewhere like about 50% of them, don't know if this is in America or whatever, like about 50% of young women don't want to have kids. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. And there's so many reasons for that. And they're very obvious reasons. One is like the environment, like climate change, blah, blah, blah. I think we care more, like our generation, we care more about this kind of things. And I wasn't someone that was very well versed, and I'm not that well versed in like not even the idea, the reality of like sustainability and the environment and how we could all come crashing down if we're not careful. What kind of world are we going to be living in the next 10, 20 years? And I think for some people that is like a big deal, especially if it's something you're very passionate about, where you're like, I don't want to bring kids into the world where like I don't feel like the world's going to be okay in the next 50 years, you know, like why would I subject children to that? For me, the number one thing is like my financial stability, money. When I would feel like I am ready is if I feel like I can afford to. And because I grew up in an environment where there were times where money was scarce, I understand the value of $1. And I'm not someone that actually like when I have money, I don't actually pinch pennies. I'm very, you know, contrary to like some opinions, like I am quite frugal about some things. Like I would go to a happy hour. I do not care. Like I think if I can pay half or like less than half, or at least like so much less for a drink, right, or for food, why would I not go at a time when I can pay less? Why would I go at a time where I'm paying more just because I'm like, I don't want to go earlier? Like I would take the happy hour. I'd rather like go to happy hour between 4 and 6:30, whatever, and go back to my house, watch TV and know that I've had a good night for a good price, then like leave like and get there like 9 p.m. and pay like twice the amount just because I would arrive later, and I don't care. And so things like that I do value in that sense. But there are also other things I would like enjoy. Like I would spend money on holiday without like thinking twice about it, without dwelling on it. I would literally like spend money on maybe someone I love or something I love without like crying about it, without like being sad about the money I lost. Like there's some things like convenience I would just spend money on. I'll spend money on a nice apartment. I love where I live, and those are the things that I would like I'm not that, I don't own money that tightly, especially when it's with something that I love. I want to spend money on. And the other things I'm just very frugal about, and one of the things I'm frugal about is just spending money on children that I don't have yet. And so it's like, it's just so, I can't even like fathom, like it's something I can't even think about because of my like financial state at the moment. I'm still living for one, I'm living for myself. and I can only afford myself at the moment. So like I can't even begin to like fathom like another, like taking care of another person. And this is why it takes two, because at least if I have like support from someone else, like it's gonna be pulling income from two sources, and maybe then we can afford it. But maybe then, I don't know. And so I think unless I'm in a place where I feel like I can financially afford it, and maybe if I'm in a place where I feel like it might be something I might desire, then I can start planning for it. But I'm not gonna like make decisions based on like, what if, like when the time comes, I'll figure it out. And like, I know some people think, what if it's too late? Then it's not meant for me. There's some things I've just always known. Like, I think I've always just like liked the idea of marriage, for example. And like, it's not something that anyone's like, even though my mom used to always say, when you get married. And maybe it's more, it's definitely, not even maybe, it's definitely more ingrained in like women, especially in like West African society and just generally, to think about marriage more and to plan for it. And so women like spend their time romanticizing the idea and planning for it and like loving the idea. Men are not raised to be fathers, they're not raised to be husbands. No one's telling them when you become a husband, you need to do this, because when you have a family, they don't say it until like much later. It's only now that my mom's telling my brother, like, you know, you need to do this because you're gonna have your own family one day. I never heard that when I was younger. It's only now that it's almost 30 that I'm hearing it. And so it's like, because us women grew up with planning to be wives and planning to be mothers and thinking about ourselves with somebody else, and men never grew up with that ideology, with that like ingrained in them and drilled into their brains. I think they're still figuring out, like they're still figuring out what partnership means. They're still figuring out what they want and how to even, whether or not they even want to be like a husband. I feel like for some people, the idea is so foreign that they would want to marry somebody because they're like, I never like, nobody told me, like, nobody told me that I would be dating to marry. Like, I feel like women are the ones that were taught to date to marry. Like, a lot of women think, oh, men are stupid, whatever, well, men are dumb. It's just because nobody told them. If we told boys from when we were younger, you need to learn how to like cut the wood, you need to learn how to wash the car because you need to wash your wife's car when you get married, just for example, then men will think that way. They would grow up thinking of themselves in partnership with someone else and the responsibilities that like come with that. But I think men were just thought, ooh, if you like the girl, ask her out, like, you know. That was the, I think that was the extent of it. Like, no one told the boys that they would be husbands one day when they were younger. No one told them the same way they told women. So now, because women have prepared their whole lives to be wives and to be mothers, and men are just catching up, there's not a balance, because women are ready and the men are not, or they're trying to be ready, or they think they want to be ready. It's like, that's why it's not matching up, because you see men that maybe want a partner, and maybe they want a girlfriend, or maybe they even want a wife, but no one told them about the responsibilities of that, of how women are different from men. Women maybe are more emotional, women want to talk more, and you're gonna have to listen, you're gonna have to try to be uncomfortable with emotions, you're gonna have to try to, you know, hear women out. Women are like, we like to talk, and not every guy is like, has been told how to listen to their wives. And women like support, and not a lot of, and men don't understand that it's the little things that bring us joy. Like, there's a reason why women love flowers, and it's not because flowers are the best things in the world. It's because of the thought behind the flowers. It's like, you were thinking about me, you were walking past these flowers, and you're like, oh, there's this woman I have in the house, she's gonna love this. Like, there's this person that I know, even if your wife doesn't even, or your girlfriend doesn't even like flowers, the idea of you thinking about them. And that's what women love. And I think men may not have been thought about like just little gestures, or they don't understand it. And so with kids, it's like, men may want to be a father because they want to have a son. They want to have a son, or they want to have a daughter, whatever. They want to have a family, but they don't really know the reality of that Like you might have to stay home with the family instead of going golfing with the boys. You might have to financially support your wife, like be the sole provider while she's raising your child, or you might both be working, and so you might have to take turns because both of you are working, and so both of you have to try as much as possible to contribute to the household, especially when you're raising the child. But a lot of men just think the job is done once they've had the wife and they've had the kids, like that's it. Like sometimes your presence is enough, but other times you have to do more than just be available or just be there. Like you have to participate. And I think one of the reasons women are shying away from the idea of children is they're seeing that a lot of men don't participate in fatherhood. They just like the title, or they think that their only responsibility is just to like partially be there. Like men use the word babysitting for their own children, like it's a thing. And it's just things like that that make women turned off to the idea of having children. It's because like they're seeing that there's just such an inequality. And I'm not gonna like not admit that women are just more maternal. I think overall, like you can argue so many things, but I feel like women are just naturally more emotional, more maternal, more empathetic. And men can learn those skills, but I just feel like the same way, like if someone barges into the house, we automatically expect the man to be the one to stand up and protect his family. We also just expect women to be more caring, to be more soft, to be more nurturing. And both people can learn both skills. A woman can learn to be stronger, even if it's not something that comes naturally to her. Same way the man can learn to be more nurturing, even if it's not something that comes naturally to him. So women don't want to have kids because they're realizing that it's not worth it. Like the load of motherhood, it's not even just about when the child's a baby. It's like raising a child to become an adult. And when you're not available for your children, they would feel that, and then they'll grow up to be unavailable, like emotionally unavailable children, and the cycle just repeats itself, really. So this is just part of the reasons that women don't want to have children, or one of the things I'm thinking about. Like I can't even, like for me, because of how I choose like my partners, or how I would choose my partners going forward, like I would think about them, who they would be as my husband. And if I'm ever in the place where I feel like I may want children, then I have to start assessing who they'll be as fathers, because I'm not going to carry the load all by myself. I'm not doing that. If there's not going to be a partnership, and especially as someone who isn't like that crazy about the idea of children in the first place, if I ever get like, drawn to the idea of having kids, it's gonna have to be in a partnership. And I know that you just can't predict the future and stuff like that, but that is my ideal scenario. Is if there's not going to be a partner to do it with, then I really don't think I can tell you like 95%, if there isn't a partner to do with, I would like definitely not want to have kids. But I know that there are some women that don't feel this way, that would do it by themselves, and those are the women that really want kids, and that's great. So those are just some reasons I think some women might not want to have children, and this will be part 1. Let me know if you want part 2, and I'll see you in the next one.